Welcome back to the Circuito de Jerez here at Andalusia. Race number 2 for the FIM CEV Repsol. 16 laps. As we're saying, 16 laps, 4.423 kilometres, 5 left-hand turns and 8 right-hand corners, making up 13 in total. We've already had one Moto3 race today, and that was a very, very exciting affair indeed, with Alonso Lopez taking victory, ending the winning streak of Dennis Foggia, the championship leader. Now, Alonso Lopez isn't necessarily in that much of a close contention for the title. However, it's all to play for as we go into the latter stage of the race. You can see this was earlier on with the pit lane walk. We had quite a few people queuing up, ready to go and see the bikes and the teams that were on display, as we said, of course, in pit lane. And those are the Dunlop mechanics and tyre technicians getting the rubber ready for racing here today. Good temperature as well it is, as we were just alluding to a few moments ago. There is Alonso Lopez, the race 1 winner. All the riders now on their sighting lap. Just behind him is Strega Lithia teammate Charlie Nesbitt, who scored a best ever result of the season, 8th position, his first top 10 inside Moto3 Junior World Championship. Great result there for 16-year-old, nickname of Spud as well. Spud Nesbitt is what he was known as when I used to commentate on him a couple of years ago now. There is the number 63 of Vicente Perez, who took the fight to Alonso Lopez in the race, but unfortunately had to lose out, or did lose out right at the end. So the riders now, of course, on their sighting laps, getting ready to get the bikes on the grid, and we're getting ready to go racing. This is going to be a really exciting one, Fran, as well, isn't it? Because we've seen what the riders can do now. We've had a chance to assess what's what, and of course these guys can make some changes as well on their bikes during the time between races. So
yeah, of course, and then obviously we've got a couple of guys who had problems off the start in the last race, so they'll be interesting protagonists, I'm sure, in this one. Also, it's a bit hotter now, and we saw quite a shake-up on the timesheets in the qualifying practice 2 when it was hotter, which Jaume Masia was fastest in, and then Masaki and Agura. So Agura especially, he's really going to be on a mission now in this one. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But then, you know, Lopez again had good pace, so you know, it could be anyone's game again, always in Moto3. But certainly the guys who had problems last time, they'll be so eager now to not see a repeat, get off to a clean start, and head into the race. So as you can see, everyone wheeling through, quite a lot of people down on the grid. Got to really weave your way around there. So coming up to pole position again, and he'll be so buoyed by that win in the first race. I think it's really good for confidence, especially when you've been on pole position. You know, you've seen so often people qualify really well and then unfortunately make a mistake or something happens. But having taken that win from pole and really stayed in contention throughout, and really great race, great pace, I think Lopez will be very, very strong again this afternoon. Then hopefully middle of the front row should be less dramatic now. We're going to go for a clean start for Agura, would be hoping. So hopefully we'll see him get off the line cleanly this time. And obviously podium last time out, really was on a roll. So it depends. I mean, obviously he's wanting to bounce back, but he does still have that knowledge from Estoril that he's really in contention and can really do something here. And, you know, top 5 in Le Mans. This morning, obviously came back to score points, which is fantastic again, and had very, very, very good pace coming back through the pack then. So Agura could be one to watch here if he could really use that disappointment this morning and the way he bounced back from it to make some really good inroads now and see what he can do off the front row.
Yeah, he's going to have the bit between his teeth for this race, I'm sure, as you said, to just try and get himself back up in contention. Here's a man, though, who will also be looking to make some amends after what was unfortunately a disappointing end to his first race with a crash. Jaume Masia, 16 years of age he is, as you can see there. Did manage to go on to finish 15th after picking that bike up, but a big dent in his championship charge. It doesn't look like he's going to be in contention for the title for this year, but nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely. I was just saying, Agura, obviously, those both both of those guys came back to score points. Great performances. And both of them were very, very fast when it was a bit hotter in qualifying too yesterday, so which Masia was fastest in. So they'll be ready to take another shot at this, definitely.
And again, a guy who's going to be looking to make amends, Apiwat Wongtananon. It all went wrong for him at the final corner, crashing out of what was a very strong top 10 finish. Really, 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 really impressive throughout that race until that final hurdle just cut him out. And yeah, I saw him actually in the paddock when I was on the way back from the podium, and he looked very disappointed. So I think he'll really be wanting to bounce back pretty quickly from that. And unfortunately as well, just missing out on the points, although he got back on and got to the line, across the line in 16th eventually. So costly mistake, but at least he has a lot of experience of how to run at the front at Jerez now. Indeed, Vicente Perez, also a guy that has a lot of experience of running at the front, as we saw in that last race. 5th, he ended up coming over the line in 19 years of age. 1 podium, 1 pole so far this season, and he'll be looking to try and take that charge to the front. He's got to try and get himself on the podium perhaps a bit more regularly as well. I think he looked really racy in that race. He really looked like he was going to be up for a final charge, but then it didn't quite materialise, came home 5th. So we'll have to see if he's learnt from that and puts it all together and makes a few different moves this time around. Indeed we will. You can see the grid is now pretty much packed. There's barely room to swing a cat round there. And it's going to be a very exciting and interesting affair. Of course, 16 laps for the Moto3 Junior World Championship. And you can hear more music blasting out over the Circuito de Jerez. It's been a common theme throughout the course of the weekend. And keep an eye out for some unexpected results. You can see just on the outside there was Charlie Nesbitt. We'll talk more about him. Here's Sergio Garcia, or indeed where Sergio Garcia should be. His bike is not there, and neither is he. So that would lead me to believe that it's because of this crash that he is not going to be partaking in the race, which is completely understandable. It was a huge impact he had with the tarmac, and then got a clout with the bike for good measure. Yeah, to say he's really lucky. Obviously, the bike and rider went pretty different directions after the initial crash there. Because yeah, that's definitely a scary one, especially at the end of the straight into turn 1. Not what you want, but he looked like he, you know, he was all right. But sadly, looks like he won't be lining up for this race. Yes, indeed. Here's the man that will line up on the 3rd row of the grid. Dennis Foggier on the number 71, championship leader, of course, 156 points, as you can see. 2nd place last time out in the opening race this morning. Yeah, he's on a real roll now, Foggier, I think, ever since that disappointment in Barcelona. Obviously, it says 8th on there. That's not where he crossed the line. And then really, really, really consistently at the sharp end, and that's what you need. Obviously, everyone says it. It's a bit of a cliche in racing, but it's consistency that wins you championships, and Foggier at the moment is a good example of that so far in the last few races. I'll be really excited to see if he does manage to clinch the title. As we said earlier on, he's going to be going to the World Championship full-time next year, and I have to say I think that's very richly deserved as well. Here's a man, though, that really impressed me in that last race. He's had a bit of an inconsistent season, as you can see. A few DNFs, 3 DNFs in Catalonia, Valencia, and last time out in Estoril. But when he has finished, he's generally finished quite strongly inside the top 10. And just I think it's interesting as well that Polanco will be a name that even the casual fans know now, because he might not have necessarily got the results on the board, but has really been a protagonist in a lot of the races. And yeah, that Leopard team, obviously it'd be interesting what happens in the future. Exactly, yeah. Polanco was one of the riders who was caught up actually in Valencia. Seems to recall where he ended up going down the road. It was a big shame. Here's Lorenzo Petrarca, again, qualified quite well in 9th position. Dropped back a little bit in the race, as you can see there. Good string of finishes, though, he's had. 10th, 11th, so inside the points. Not necessarily the progress I think that he and the team were hoping to make. I think they were hoping for perhaps a bit more than that. But nonetheless, a finish is a finish at the end of the day, and some good points on the board are always very important. I have to say, it's so great to see such a huge crowd here today as well. They really are jam-packed into that grandstand. Here's a man that's had a difficult race, number 1, didn't he? Of course, got caught up and then ended up crashing, and it just went south really from the start. Yeah, like 35th over the line. Obviously, you'd be looking for a lot more in this race. So we'll have to see. Obviously, you know, he's got a good reference on the other side of the garage. He's got the ultimate benchmark at the moment. So, yeah, just be wanting to get bit more consistency and points, of course. For those guys, that's really the first target. Get some points on the board. Jeremy Alcoba here he is, the Australia rider in 11th position, 15 years of age. Second in the championship, 96 points, but you can see there's a big deficit there between himself and Denis Foggia. And what a season it's been for the Spanish rider. As you can see, 1 win, 4 podiums. And he's going to be looking really racy here today. Again, it just didn't qualify. There was nothing really sort of worked for him at all in qualifying, unfortunately. It was a big shame, but it's the way it goes sometimes. You win some, you lose some, and that's how it is.
Yeah, I mean, he was 7th quickest in qualifying 2 yesterday, so he should have some good pace if he can make some progress forward.
Yeah, should do indeed. Alongside him, though, is this man, Charlie Nesbitt, 16 years old, is Spud, and took his best ever finish. 8th place. He'll be riding high on a wave of confidence. His first ever year in the Moto3 Junior World Championship. His first time visiting a lot of the tracks, so I think that's really impressive as well. And we wish him all the best. Hopefully we'll see him in the championship for 2018 also. It's a good learning curve and a good way to make some progress. Here's a man that will be hoping for a bit more as well. Kazuki Misaki, really good race in Jerez.
Yeah, definitely. I think Misaki, obviously, you see there, he gained 10 places earlier in race 1. So he'll definitely be wanting to do that again. And crucially, he knows that he can now. So although he might have been a bit disappointed after qualifying, given where he's been for most of the season, he knows that he's going into this race now and he's got every chance to get into the front and playing a part. It's
so much about confidence at this age as well, isn't it? Where these guys are, and girls, of course, are a little bit younger than we would have in the World Championship. It's so much just about building yourself up and trying to deliver the results.
Yeah, definitely. I think the psychology is super important. You know, once you get that momentum, it can really make a big difference. You know, again, I think Nicky Hayden said, you know, when you're on a roll and everything's going your way, you feel like you're unstoppable. And I think that's just so true for some of these guys. Once they really get into the groove and get that confidence, like we've seen with Foggia now, he looks like a different rider to the first couple of races.
He really does, yeah. Denis Foggia could be a very interesting star to watch for the future. Meanwhile, the grid, Alonso Lopez, Ayagura, Jaume Masia. Row 2, Apiwatwong Tananon, Vicente Perez and Sergio Garcia. Row number 3, Denis Foggia, Lorenzo Petrarca and Aaron Polanco in the middle of the 3rd row of the grid. Row number 4, Celestino Vietti Ramos, Jeremy Alcoba, Charlie Nesbitt. Row number 5, Kazuki Misaki, Makar Yuchenko, Stefano Nepa. Row 6 is Davide Pizzoli, Gerard Ryu and Aleix Ryu, who has had a bit of a quiet couple of rounds as of late. Then's Rory Skinner on row 7, Bruno Palesi Irachi, then comes Somkiat Chantra, Andreas Perez, then Andy Farid and Kasma Udin. Row number 9 is Jason De Pasquier, Alessandro Del Bianco, and then Yari Montella for the SICK 58 Squadra Corsa team. Row 10 is Philippe Salak, Lauren Faber, and then Mattia Casadei, Ricardo Rossi, Gabriel Martinez Abrego, and Rufino Florido are on row 11. Row 12 is Andrea Cavalieri, then comes Angel Lorente, and row 13 is Alex Ruiz, Matias Megley, Eva Moraes, Josh Owens, Ryan van der Laar, and Charlie Cooper are on row 14, and row 15, and 43rd and 44th on the grid, Liban Luchel and Clement Rouget. And does that look like more problems for the VR46 team? You bet it is, but this time it's Apiwatwong Tananon who can't get the bike started on the grid. That's going to be a big shame, and he is going to be starting from pit lane. So I don't know whether that was a commentator's curse because the race hadn't started, but we probably didn't do him any favours by singing his praises by the sound of it.
Yeah, that's not going to help his mood. That makes such a difference in the overall outcome. Like, I think the most famous example I can think of is Pedrosa Mazzano in 2012 when that had that problem off the start line, and it can play such a huge role. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The riders now on their warming up lap, just getting themselves some heat and some temperature into the tyres and brakes. And we can see that is Apiwatwong Tananon. He has managed to get the bike going, but he's have to start right at the back of the grid. Plumb last in 44th place. It's not an easy thing to do.
It's not, but it's harder to start from pit lane, so we'll take the positives, I think.
True, very true. And now going into turn 5 of Sito Pond's corner, I have to say I'm very excited to see how Jaume Masia will be getting on during this race.
Yeah, he was really an absent name where he should have been in the top group in the first race, so obviously would be good to see him back in the mix.
It certainly would do. We're just about to get the tyre allocations through from that race and see, or for the race, and see who lines up where. We can see that Sergio Garcia, of course, isn't going to be here for this one, but as we can see, Fran, the majority on soft tyres. However, there's been a few changes compared to earlier on this morning, because we've got medium tyres once again for Apio Atwong Tannanon on the rear, but also Aaron Palanco and Lorenzo Petrarca. Yeah,
I think it's interesting with Palanco, especially because he, you know, certainly seemed to make good use of them last time out. So we'll have to see on that.
Exactly. Temperatures are hotter though, so maybe he's thinking the tyre's going to wear out a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, that can really change the colour of the entire race. It seems so simple. You kind of go into it and you might be thinking, well, you know, why would it happen any differently? But of course, there is actually a big difference. There's a big difference from this morning when we got here and warm up, and then again from the first race. When it gets hotter here, it really does get hotter. But not quite the searing summer of when MotoGP head down here, but still pretty hot.
Exactly. Well, I have to say, it's nice to not have to worry about wearing shorts too much either, because we're not really allowed to wear shorts when we're in a paddock. So I don't want to frighten anybody with my skinny legs anyway. So riders now completing their warming up lap. And then we'll get ready to get race number 2 underway. Who do you reckon is going to be the standout star of the show for this one? I know it's early days, obviously, but what do you reckon?
I think it's going to be hard to look past Lopez if he can repeat the good start he got last time and get cleanly away in that front group or in the lead, because I think as well with the extra confidence from that first one, he's on a mission now and knows he can do it. So we'll have to see. But then Foggia, maybe now he's, you know, going to be wanting to attack a bit more.
They're all on their own there by the looks of things. I'm wondering where the rest of the grid's gone.
Yeah, a bit of a wait for those guys. It looks like Agura's okay at least, so he should be able to stay in the mix this time at the front. Hopefully he'll get a good start now, and a bit of better news for the Asian talent team.
Well, the green flag is waved at the back. It's Alonso Lopez, Ayagura and Jaume Masia on pole on the front row of the grid. Let's get ready to get racing then underway. Somebody's off the side. Is that going to be an aborted start? The lights are on, the lights go on, and we'll go racing. Who's going to get the way down towards the first one? Jaume Masia, a good start, but so did Vicente Perez. Who's going to lead the way in towards turn 1? It's very close indeed, but Lopez looks like he's going to be holding on to it once again, and that is a lace view. Unfortunately, his bad luck continues, and he is not going to be making the start of this race, let alone probably making the race at all if he's not too careful. If he gets it started by the end of lap 1, he might be okay. Back at the front, Jaume Masia now leads the way ahead of Alonso Lopez. Good start also for Dennis Foggia from 7th on the grid, up into 3rd place once again. Fast starting rocket is what he's known as. And now Vicente Perez and also Ayagura, but Ayagura coming under threat as well from Celestino Vietti Ramos. Ramos making some good inroads and making up for the disappointment of race number 1 for the Italian. But over the crest of the hill and down towards the dry sack hairpin we go for the first time of asking.
Yeah, I think Foggia again, such a good start, really keeps his head in that situation. Doesn't really seem to get phased if he's not on that front row and looking at air in front of him.
Oh, somebody's gone down in the middle of the pack. That looks like one of the Husqvarna Leclerc's bikes, and somebody else caught up in there. Oh, big moment as well for Matthias Megle. He managed to just hold on to the bike. Was that Petrarca, or was it the other machine of Andrea Cavalieri? And then Kasmar Udin also caught up in that, so the Petronas Sprinter machine is going no further. But that was a very bizarre incident. Looks like he might have lost the rear or perhaps had a tap in mid-corner with 44 bikes into one turn. Generally doesn't go that well.
Yeah, I mean, they're lucky to avoid that there. Some good avoidance tactics. That's always the most important thing when there's bikes coming out. Just get out the way as soon as you can. So luckily it seems like, you know, sadly their race is over. But
here comes Lopez, he's up the inside into Lorenzo and he leads the way. So Lopez back at the front at the end of lap number 1. 16 laps, soon to become 15 remaining as we get ready to come over the timeline for the first time of asking. Is Masia going to pull to the outside? Will Foggia think it up the inside? Yes, you bet he will. Into turn number 1 he goes, but he can't make it stick through there. He was looking close, he was looking for a way through, but a good sweeping line there for Lopez paid dividends.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting for these guys as well, because it's a few of the similar names to race 1 at the front, but obviously they've got Masia and Agura in there as well, and they've not been on this track fighting with them already today, because obviously they didn't get the start. So that's going to be interesting. There's a couple of not wild cards in the official racing sense, but jokers in the pack for them
I'll tell you something, Massia's corner speed on that KTM machine for the Cuna de Campeones bike is something incredible. Through turn 5, he was closing right all over the rear end of Dennis Foggia. Speaking of Dennis Foggia, he gets it all a bit squirrely into dry sack, and it's going to be a very exciting race. Somebody getting a little bit wide, a bit hairy out there, but they're really holding on very nicely so far. They're racing very cleanly, but they're all in such a big group as Vicente Perez goes up the inside of Massia for 3rd position and gets the move done and dusted. Very nice indeed. But it's so incredibly close between these guys, and there's a group already forming for the lead, but it's with about 10 or 12 riders.
Yeah, I think it's down to 11th and Stefano Nepa. Then there's about a second back to Charlie Nesbitt then. But yeah, again, you see Masaki really great off the start again. Like Foggia, although even more, he's up into 7th from 13th.
Unbelievable. So, here comes Ramos. He's hard on the brakes. He's looking at the inside of Ayagura. Doesn't manage to make it sick. Meanwhile, Agura going for the outside line against Massia. Massia's going to get mugged here if he's not too careful. He's already down into 4th place, but as we come over the timing line, he's got a very feisty Ayagura and Celestino Vietti Ramos very close behind. Into the first corner we go. Agura's up the inside of Ramos now, and just manages to hold on, does Massia at the moment, holds on to that 4th position, but Lopez not romping away like we saw in race 1, Fran. He's holding on to the lead, but they're keeping him honest behind. Yeah, they're a bit closer together now, I think, as well, and they've been swapping positions a few more times as a bigger group. But I think it's great to see both Asia Talent team bikes up there again now. Obviously buoyed by Estoril. It was a bit disappointing this morning to have the front 2 in their charge, one of them immediately on the back foot. So, but yeah, Lopez again clearing the lead, but not really able to pull away, not able to make the same gap that he was able to do in qualifying. And Foggia always on the chase, keeping it calm. Ayagura now into 4th place. He's up ahead of Jaume Massia. Massia's shuffled down into 5th. Top 3 still lining astern at the moment, though. You never know if the Asia Talent team riders do well. We might even see Alberto Puig crack a smile, which would be something special, won't it? Indeed, definitely. I think, yeah, after double podium, it would have to be something fairly special. It was Lorenzo Petracca and Kasmar Udin who were caught up in that incident. Let's have a look and see what we can see. Oh, Petracca just lost the rear end, and that left nowhere for Kasmar Udin to go. Somebody else also involved the mix there, and that was Matthias Megle. Look at that. It's pretty reminiscent of what we saw in Misano Moto3 qualifying with Rodrigo at the end of that session, and obviously Loy there spectacularly caught out. Yeah, lucky that, you know, it just caused... Ooh, that was very close. Sorry, I lost my tack there. But yeah, lucky everyone seems fine after that incident. It's always bad when someone goes down in the pack. It can always be a bit risky. But I think Foggia seems to be fairly content to stay there. Obviously, he seems to have the pace to stay with Alonso Lopez. And across the line last time, he was a little bit faster. So, you know, Lopez did a 48.7. Most of them are kind of in the ballpark. It was Massia who did 49.1. That was a little bit off the pace of those ahead of him. Lopez now beginning to pull a few bike temps out, as you mentioned there, Fran. Meanwhile, here comes Massia up the inside of Agura. So he's into 4th place, but runs a bit wide. Is that Aaron Patlanko? It is. And Jeremy Alcoba, who've come to blows at the final turn. We didn't see what happened. We've only seen the aftermath of it. We might get an instant replay very shortly, but that's a big shame there for the Leopard Racing and the Estrella Galicia racing rider, respectively. That's easy for me to say. Definitely, apparently. No, that's a big shame for Palanco. He had such great pace this morning to hunt down those guys at the front, so he's going to be disappointed with that. Yeah, he seems to get caught up in a couple of incidents. He's had a couple of times this season where it's just perhaps not been his fault, or, you know, should have stayed out of harm's way a bit. But it's all a learning curve, is it? This is the thing. And yeah, they're two pretty big players as well, so that's going to give a real shake-up to the standings, sort of in that mid-top 10 fight. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jaume Massia now back into 2nd place with Foggia and Vicente Perez close behind. Into the right-hander of Ferrari we go before we go into Lorenzo. That's where the incident was. I assume the marshals, or hope the marshals, would have cleared the bikes. Here comes Massia up the inside, though, of Lopez into the lead of the race. Brilliant bit of riding there from the Cuna de Campeones KTM machine. Yeah, it's not shy. Not shy. Well, now he's had the World Championship experience, you'd expect him to be anything but, wouldn't you? Yeah, definitely. I believe he'll be wildcarding at Aragon as well. He will, with the same team, the same bike. Which is great as well, because obviously that comes before the CEV round at Aragon. More experience on the bike, more track time.
Completely. So that should be a great opportunity for him. But yeah, certainly needs maybe a little bit calmer. Needs to concentrate on the finishes rather than the you know, necessarily putting on the show. But great rider, great talent.
Exactly. Here comes Lopez, though, fighting back immediately into turn number 5. Masia with the fastest lap, though. Last time around, Foggia thinks I'll have a bit of that and finds his way through. So 2 positions lost in the space of a couple of corners for Jaume Masia. But now he's going to have Vicente Perez and also Celestino Vietti-Ramos and Ayagura going hammer and tong and head-to-head into dry sack. On the brakes we go, and Foggia around the outside. Nicely done for the junior VR46 team rider.
Just see Lopez thinking about it and then just like, nah, maybe I'll wait.
I'll hold on for a while,
we've got 11.5 laps to go, and now's not the time.
Yeah,
but definitely, I think as well, Lopez will know that he's going to feel super confident in his ability to manage this race like he did last time, and also in his pace, starting from pole. You know, incredible lap time. Only 4/10 off Jorge Martin's pole record in the World Championship. So he really knows he's got the pace. See, everybody look behind them. They're really keen on sussing it out.
Yeah, oh, somebody else has gone down. Is that Mathieu? No, it's Clement Rouget, I apologise. So Clement Rouget, the French rider. Disappointing end to the weekend for him. Here comes Lopez defending from Masia. Masia in 3rd place. The Estrella Galicia 0-0 team are doing a great job being represented by Alonso Lopez. Of course, Jeremy Alcoba now out of the running. Meanwhile, Rory Skinner's having a good race as well. He's inside the top 10 in 9th place for the RSF Foundation KTM machine. Yeah,
he's the guy leading that second group chase at the moment. These top guys seem to have just been able to pull away. And obviously that incident with Polanco and Alcoba took a couple of these players out of the midfield. So yeah, we'll see if Skinner can close that gap down, but at the moment it's sort of about 9/10.
Well, he's a victor, of course, of the opening round of the Red Bull Rookies Championship as Foggia darts his way up the inside through Cito Pons.
Apologies, our timing screen is rather small text.
It is, yeah. I have to get the binoculars out to read it here in the in the commentary box or something to that effect. Meanwhile, here comes Lopez, here comes Ayagura, Masia and Perez. Are they all going to make it through the corner? Yes, indeed they do, just by the skin of their teeth. It always worries me going into there. After I'm having flashbacks from Barcelona after that one.
Yeah, certainly. I think it's, you know, you're planning a move on the guy in front, the guy behind's planning a move on you, and the guy behind him has also got that on his mind. So I think it can get pretty interesting with these guys. But obviously all nice and clean with the top few at the moment. But I don't think we're going to see anyone be able to break away now. It looks like this is going to be a fairly well-fought win again.
I'll tell you what, I'm well impressed with Celestino Vietti-Ramos. He's looking great on that VR46 KTM. He's doing a good job, and considering it's his first year in the championship, like so many others, he's doing a really good job. And he's also got a great team behind him as well, as Ayagura slots it up the inside of Perez, and Perez also looking to potentially lose down to Jaume Masia, but gets his nose cut off, does the Spaniard, who of course will be riding with the Platinum Bay Real Estate KTM team in 2018 in the World Championship. Meanwhile, here comes Kazuki Masaki. He's making some good inroads as also, as well, the other Reale Adventure Academy bike of Makar Yuchenko's not looking too unhappy sitting in that position as well. Yeah,
he's been just slotted in that back of that group for a while, and certainly be looking to make some moves forward. Didn't really make too much of an impact in race one. So.
No, this is true. Let's have a look and see what can happen though. Into the left-hander, very close indeed.
Is it great? Sorry.
So I was going to say, Rory Skinner's close right up on the back of these guys as well.
Yeah, I was going to say their second group has really pulled it back, and also going to shout out for Somkiat Chantra coming back from injury, and obviously started, I think, 23rd.
That was a really aggressive move over from Alonso Lopez. He cut the nose right off of Masia, and I think Masia had to get out of the throttle.
But yeah, Chantra, really great start. Moved up an awful lot from where he qualified, so he'll be really heartened by that. Obviously, reigning Asia Talent Cup winner. So and another Thai rider. It's great, like we were saying earlier. It's great, so much variety now on the grid. So
definitely is. And Ayagura now leads the way from Dennis Foggia. There is Masia just behind Lopez with Vicente Perez. Very close behind him as well. They're all line of stone. One mistake could define the race. Anything could happen.
We've not mentioned that at all yet, so I think it's great to point out. It's great to see Agura at the front as well. Obviously didn't get the chance to do this in race 1, and now we're really seeing he's got some serious pace to back up that qualifying, so it's great. Hopefully, again, one of those protagonists in that mid-pack of the top 10 in the championship standings where they're all so close together that can really make a big difference. Although it's only 3, 5, 6 points over the line that you gain, you suddenly move up 3 places in the title fight.
Well, we definitely will be seeing... but there's that bit of a wheel in the air for Agura there. We definitely will be seeing Alberto Puig smile if one of the Asia Talent Team riders is on the rostrum, if not at the front of the field. They haven't taken a win so far in 2017. They'll be looking to try and change that, and Agura is doing everything right at the moment to try and hold on to the lead of the race. Massia up the inside, or thinking about a bit of a move against Dennis Foggia, but has to slot back in behind him, and over the brow of the hill they go. These guys looking very, very racy indeed. And I can see Charlie Nesbitt in the background there, who's looking very racy on Davide Pizzoli. On the hard on the brakes they go, very close as Massia tries the outside line, and also Kazuki Misaki pops in from nowhere, goes from about 7th up into the top 5. So this is a great race, into the top 3, I apologise, because he's now in 3rd position. So 2 Asia Talent Team riders occupying the top 3 places with a Spaniard in the middle. This is looking very, very promising for them at the moment. I don't want to put the commentator's curse on it too much. We know we seem to be pretty good at doing that today.
Yeah, the double Asia Talent Team attack there. Certainly, it's good to see both these guys in the mix. Had some disappointment earlier in the year for the Asia Talent Team with a few DNFs and teammate incidents. But it's great to see them running at the front again. I would have wanted to have been writing the press releases earlier on this season, because that must have been a bit of a hard task. Sometimes it's interesting what you have to do with words. Yes, it can be a bit of a challenge, but obviously, these guys are here to learn. That's what they're here for. They've got the opportunity because they've shown that they've got the talent in the Asia Talent Cup, etc. So it's, that when you're learning, you have to make mistakes. A very low-octane version of that. When you're making a language, you have to speak it and make mistakes to make progress. I'm pretty good at doing that in general, really. In general? I thought you were going to say in Spanish. In English, definitely. Which bodes well, doesn't it? Meanwhile, somebody's gone down there. Is that Charlie Nesbitt? Oh, I do hope it's not. It's one of the Australia bikes for sure, and it is Nesbitt that's gone down the road. That's a big shame for Spud, unfortunately, at turn number 2. And unfortunately, it looks like unless he's able to get back on in the race, he's going to get some assistance from the marshals. But it might prove to just be a step too far for the Briton, who took a fantastic top 10 finish for the first time ever in his Moto3 Junior World Championship career. Meanwhile, it's all getting hot up at the front as Agura has to defend from Dennis Foggia, who has to defend from Jaume Massia, who has to defend in turn from Kazuki Misaki. It's getting pretty hot under the collar. I tell you what, Valentino Rossi will be grinning from ear to ear into as well if he's watching at home, because his 2 riders are doing very well indeed. Yeah, I think that'd be a nice pick-me-up as he fights to get back on the bike himself. I wonder if his cat Rossano will be smiling as well. I'm sure Rossano is always smiling. Rossano must have one of the most charmed lives in the history of the world. but no, it's great to see these guys. It's such a great amount of support that Rossi gives to the Riders Academy and so many different things, and it's just great to see that support pay off. Getting a little feisty in there now. It is. Foggia was Danter on the brakes. He was a bit sideways coming into Lorenzo, and Agura has been shuffled out as well at the expense of Massia. So it's now the 2 Asia Talent Team riders in 3rd and 4th place, with Celestino Vietti Ramos also very close behind indeed. Now 7 laps to go here at the Circuito de Jerez, race number 2 for the Moto3 Junior World Championship. I tell you what, you can tell it's the final race of the day for these guys, can't you? Yeah, certainly getting a bit close now, but Misaki especially, I think, has really impressed me this weekend, and obviously now he's also ahead in the Red Bull rookie standings. So last race of the season coming up for those guys soon, or last event. Oh, big moment there for Rory Skinner coming out of turn 4. On the green stuff. But yeah, it's great. Misaki's had a really great ride this morning, and again in the mix this afternoon, and it's just it's really positive to see those guys make steps forward. Like, he got a top 5 here last year, so more progress this year. Podium. See where we go from here. Exactly. Yeah, Misaki has been one of the standout talents of the 2017 season so far.
And we'll wait and see whether he can do the honours here this weekend. At the moment, it's going the way of Jaume Masia, but there's still 6.5 laps to go.
Yeah, definitely. I think Masaki's also an interesting benchmark because he's ridden in both championships.
Hello, we've got a notice from Race Direction at the bottom. So riders 19 and 22 for a tied second penalty. So 22 is Apiwatwong Tananon, and rider number 19, I'm just consulting my entry list, and we'll just have a quick look through. There's so many riders on the entry list, it's hard to work out what, and they're not all in numerical order either.
So it's Rufino Florido.
It is, yeah, that's right. So
again, track limits, you see. I have talked about the green stuff so far today. It's important that you don't take advantage of that. Mistakes happen all the time, but if you're noticed to be consistently just, you know, pushing your luck a little bit and just taking a little bit more on those green stuff you can see there on the outside of the curb, that's when it starts to become a problem. That's when you're risking a penalty, as Foggia found out in Barcelona.
Exactly, yeah, it was a real disappointment there for Dennis Foggia. He was so elated in his first victory. We were so elated in the commentary box as well at the time, and then it was all not to be. We didn't find out until he got on, or didn't step onto the podium, rather, I should say. He's made amendments for that now with 3 wins out of the last 4 races. Meanwhile, here comes Celestino Vietti Ramos, his teammate, looking up the inside of Kazuki Misaki into Ciso Pons, but that's to relent once again. I have to say, though, one thing that I really find very interesting is the difference in riding style between Foggia and Ramos as well. They have such different stances on the bike in the corner. Foggia with Ramos looking like a much taller rider as it legs towards the outside. Meanwhile, Misaki tries to get the better exit than Foggia as we go into turn number 7, but no opportunities being presented thus far. Into the left we go. Masia's just put a bike length or 2, hasn't he, between Dennis Foggia at the moment? Yeah,
certainly he's got a little bit of daylight there, but it's all changes so quickly. You see, again, straight away, concertina effect straight back up. But Ramos is really impressive in this race. Really, you know, playing a serious part in these goings on at the front, in the front group. And it would be interesting as well to see inter-team relations, given if the end of the race is as exciting as it looks like it might be. Like here again, just
yeah, he's got some.
In.
Misaki holds the line
really
around
brave, and it's going to be a VR46 1-2 over the line. Yeah, you can see there Misaki just missed out on that.
Yeah, he went over on the rumble strips. They're nasty things, those as well, because they're bumpy and horrible, and they upset the balance of the bike no end. That camera angle deceived my eyes a bit then, because it looked like Alonso Lopez was going to get caught up in some strife. I have to say it's great, impressive from Celestino Vietti Ramos, as you said there, Fran, because he's not the first time he's competed in Moto3. Competed last year in the CEV, the Italian Championship, and actually made his debut last year, had a best finish of 9th, so it was pretty clear from there on in that he was going to be an impressive talent in the season, and really displaying that at the moment, as are both the VR46 riders, 1 and 2, as you said. But who is going to be on the final step of the rostrum, or who's going to be on any step of the rostrum? It's anybody's guess at this stage in the race.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's always interesting when you have teammates in the same battle. Here obviously we've got 2 of them, Asia Talent Team and the VR46 guys, and then
Masia's up into the lead of the race, but it's all getting hairy behind.
And Perez as well. So yes, this could be an interesting one. It's a much bigger group than we had at this stage of race 1. So
yeah, we've got 2 VR46 riders, 2 Asia Talent Team riders, and 2 Reali Avintia Academy riders. Place your bets is my best bet, because it's going to get pretty tight and pretty interesting towards the end of this race. At the moment, it's Masia with the advantage. There's Apiwatwong Tananon, but we know wherever he finishes on the road, he'll have a 5-second penalty added to his race time.
Yeah, that's going to be a shame for him, but there is a fair gap back behind 14th, so there's a good chance he'll still pick up some points if he can stay in this group and cross the line somewhere around here.
That was a brilliant move from Alonso Lopez. He went up the inside of both VR46 Academy riders, and Ramos was managed to make a serious advantage of that. He's now ahead of his teammate and Lopez as well. Into the turn 1 we go. Let's see who's going to make it through very cleanly. Still Masia with a bit of an advantage. It was a couple of tenths of a second over the line, but it's just nowhere near that now, as they're all closing up ever so slightly step by step, and I'm so impressed with how clean everybody's riding at the moment. And also as well, good results for the likes of Misaki, Perez and Rory Skinner inside the top 10. Top Get Charger in 12th position, and some good results further down too.
Yeah, Chantra's put in a really, really solid ride. He didn't qualify that well, coming back from injury, but yeah, really solid ride, really good. Obviously, he's had pole position already this year. Pretty impressive. I think it's a great advert as well for the Asia Talent Cup. When these guys...
Oh, that was a big moment. Sorry to cut in front of you there, Franz. Big moment for, looks like it was Ramos in second place. He got really squirrely under the brakes. Sorry, continue as you were.
No, I'm pretty much done. Great advert for the Asia Talent Cup. But yeah, these guys now starting to pick up the pace a little bit at the front. Yeah. Masia over the line last time was a couple of tenths quicker. So it's going to be interesting if he can keep that rolling and stay at the head of the group.
Tell you what, this race is absolutely flown by. I can hardly believe that there are just 4 laps remaining. It's so close out in front. It's anybody's guess. Masia, though, as you said there, Fran, with a bit more of an advantage now, really trying to put the hammer down and trying to pull out an advantage. This will be, believe it or not, his first win of the 2017 season.
See Fodger coming through now. Maybe he's just got an eye on that and thinks he needs to pick up his pace and get his head down. But teammate behind him, we'll have to see what happens there. There's a lot more at stake for one side of that garage compared to the other.
Exactly. Well, the 2 VR46 riders were working in harmony yesterday in qualifying, towing each other around.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a great opportunity at this level as well to learn. Like, obviously, there's a big difference in their experience level, certainly within this championship and their results this year at the moment. So it's a great opportunity for the guy on the other side of the garage to have such a good benchmark.
Absolutely. Into the left-hander we go. The 2 VR46 bikes in second and third, rather, I should say. In 4th place is Ayagura, but not for long, because he's now ahead of Celestino Vietti Ramos. So Ramos now knocked down into the realms of the top 5. We're going to be very close behind as well, because here comes Lopez, here comes Agura, here comes Masaki. Are they all going to make it through? Because they all get shuffled over towards the right-hand side of the tarmac and go hard on the brakes into Drysack. So 2.5 laps remaining now here at Jerez. Jaume Masia still with a bit more of an advantage for the lead of this race, but it's anybody's guess, anybody's game. Behind, as you can see, it looks very, very close indeed.
A little bit over the edge there.
Gonna have to be careful. We know what's happened before.
Yeah, I think he's the one guy who will have that really at the forefront of his mind at all times now. So that's one. I mean, obviously, that's what the penalties are designed to do.
Exactly, exactly.
You know, it penalises mistakes, but it also makes sure that everyone bears it in mind.
I tell you what, Montanon's going to have to be careful, because he's going to with a 10-second penalty. He's just gone wide for another time in this lap.
Yeah, he needs to make sure he's not a repeat offender now. Obviously pushing super hard, and really, you know, it's great to see him up there in that top 8, top 10. But at the moment, if he gets a 5-second penalty, that's going to drop him down to probably 13th, 14th. Depending what happens, obviously, in the final few laps.
Just having a look at Jaume Masia's pit board there. They've got Kevin from Home Alone on his pit board. Did you?
I'm afraid I didn't see that. I was doing some very quick, or as it turned out, slow mathematics. But I tried.
It was that's just made me laugh. I don't know why that's all about. But then again, they've got some unusual things on some pit boards.
I guess that's the interesting way of saying that you're at the head of the race. And
oh dear, somebody's gone down in a big way at turn number 4. Fortunately, they are walking away. I can't see who that is. Is that one of the Rins bikes? I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to wait and see what has happened there, but it looks like it was a very nasty crash. There was debris over the track. Hopefully they don't throw a red flag.
They have to get that cleared up pretty quickly, yeah, around the last lap coming up soon.
Yeah.
It'd be a shame to cut it short now.
Exactly, it really would be a bit of an unfortunate anticlimactic end.
A bit of an Asia talent wobble going in there.
Is that what you're going to put in your press release later?
Indeed, an Asia talent wobble. It's a different kind of wobble.
Is it really? I'm fascinated.
Everyone has their own brand of wobble.
I don't want to know what the Tom Brooks wobble is on that basis. Let's not talk about that, actually, because it will go south. So Masia leads with just a few corners left of the penultimate lap here at the Circuito de Jerez.
Yeah, and I think he's really lost that gap now. It seems like Lopez has been able to pull him in. Yeah, really right on him now.
He's had the magnets on, hasn't he?
So it'd be
very close is what it will be. That's one thing. Through Ferrari. And into Lorenzo for the penultimate time of asking. They're just going to be thinking about lining up a move. Are we going to see Lopez trying it? No, we're going to see Foggia around the outside into the corner. We're looking at the Cuna de Campeones team as we come on to the final lap of racing here with Jaume Masia over the timeline. He leads the way, but will he be leading the way in just under 4 kilometres time? Here we go, hard on the brakes. Here comes Dennis Foggia, 2 positions in 1 corner. Are they going to make it through? Yes, they are. The championship leader leads, but Alonso Lopez gets the move done around the outside, and he now leads the way. So the top 3 changing hands ever so slightly, and now Kazuki Misaki is coming into play.
Yeah, that was super cool from Lopez, just like, nope, straight back through, staying in control, nice and calm. So it looks like we have got, still a bit of stuff on the track.
Bit of debris, it's off the racing line. But
so yeah, we have the top 6 that looks like fighting for this podium. We'll have to see.
Have to see what happens. Over the crest of the hill we go, heading down towards Drysack for the final time of asking. It's currently Alonso Lopez, but this man here, the championship leader, is going to try and change the order. Here comes Jaume Masia, though. Hard on the brakes we go into Drysack. Are they all going to make it through? No, they're not. Kazuki Misaki, and he gets into the side of Celestino Vietti Ramos. That's a big shame there for those guys. They were doing so well, and it's going to be nil points on the board for Misaki and also Ramos at this stage in the race, unless they're able to get back on and get themselves back into contention. But
that's such a shame for those guys, so close to the end. But at least, you know, it's not split this group up too much.
It's a real shame.
4 at the front.
Yeah, real shame, as you say. But coming into the final couple of corners, Jaume Masia, followed by Dennis Foggia. You can feel the anticipation in the air. You can feel Foggia is going to be thinking about a move. He's close. He's got a good run through Ferrari. Will he be able to get it on the brakes, though? Masia runs wide. Is that going to be the ticket that Foggia needs to find his way up the inside? He's going to find it. Here comes Lopez. Lopez into the side of Foggia. Foggia into the side of Masia. Oh, my goodness me. Who's going to take the victory? It's going to go the way of Ayagura. A last lap, a last corner lunge, and Ayagura takes the win with the top 3 riders going down here at the Circuito de Jerez.
Wow. Well, we were expecting a little more than what happened in race 1 in the final corner, and you see that's exactly what can happen at Jerez in the final corner.
I think Foggia is going to go and have a word with Jaume Masia at this stage.
It was Lopez who made the move.
Yeah,
Lopez
it was.
Was the one on the inside.
I don't think they know where to look.
I mean, also Wong Tananon now, he's going to think he's crossed the line for the podium, which could be a bit of a heartbreaker for him. But that's just, I mean...
So the podium then, really, of Inter Academy's Christmases have come at once, because it's going to be Ayagura...
Perez and Yurchenko, looks like. So, oof, that's... yeah, you see, we've said it too many times. Anything can happen in racing, but that certainly proves it. Just that one guy, and obviously the... the consequences for everyone. Well,
that was the first ever win for the Asia Talent team here in the Moto3 Junior World Championship in 2017, and the first win for Ayagura as well.
They don't seem to have Foggia on there as a rider involved.
Yeah, but, that's we definitely know that he was.
Definitely was.
This is going to be quite damaging for the championship as well, in terms of Jeremy Alcoba. Where did Jeremy Alcoba finish in... no, he didn't finish that race, of course. He was involved in that incident also at the final corner.
This is the one saving grace, I think, in terms of the standings, if you are a Foggia or VR46 fan.
Well, just having a look as well, that means that in terms of the top 6 in the championship, in terms of the top 5 of the championship, no rider scored from 1st down to 5th.
Yep.
That is...
very eventful. I think come the season finale in Valencia, this could be one of those moments that gets mentioned quite a few times.
Are you coming?
I may. I don't yet know.
Well, there's happy about Wong Tananon. He'll be delighted and then dismayed at his 2nd place, unfortunately. It's a real shame he was given that penalty for track limits, but rules is rules, as they say.
Definitely. Hopefully the team have managed to communicate that to him on the board, but you never know. Obviously, in situations like that, you've got to make a decision whether the information is going to, mess with their head or change the outcome of the race, or let them just race.
Exactly. I'm going to have to let you get going, because you've got to go and do a Parc Fermé interview. Well, Ayagura, what a race win for him as the riders come down now into pit lane. We got so engrossed in our conversation. What a final lap it turned out to be. And Makar Yuchenko and Vicente Perez, well, what a race it was. Fortunately for Fran, who's now running towards pit lane, it's a bit of a slow cooling down lap for all of those guys, so it's not too bad. There, though, is the man who finishes in 2nd place. Apiwat Wong Tananon, he's coming into Parc Fermé, but unfortunately, he's going to find out he's got a penalty. Meanwhile, the Reali of Inter Academy team Well, they're thrilled. They're absolutely beside themselves. Brilliant stuff. What a race and what a thing to do for Ayagura. I tell you what, if Alberto Puig is here, he is going to have the biggest smile on his face. What a way to take his first ever win in the FIM CEV Repsol. There is Alberto Puig. Look at that smile. Oh, you don't see that every day. Fantastic. Brilliant stuff. Absolutely incredible final corner. Don't forget, we've still got one race to come, by the way. We've got the European Talent Cup race number 2 up next. If it's half as good as that one was, then we're in for an absolute treat. So the riders now in Parc Fermé just debriefing with their teams, and the many congratulations all round, especially to the Realia Vintia Academy riders. They profited where others failed, unfortunately for them. Vicente Perez and Makar Yuchenko back on the podium. Brilliant stuff. Makar Yuchenko, his best result before this was a second place finish in Albacete. And now he's got himself into the podium for only the second time this season. Meanwhile, Vicente Perez, of course, done slightly better over the course of this year, but only one other podium, and that was, of course, at Valencia. Failed to finish in Estoril, so a good result, a second podium of the year for the number 63. There we go with Ayagura. The Asia Talent team watching on. Very, very pleased with that one. They are as well. Meanwhile, it will be commiserations in the Cuna de Campeones team as well as the VR46 outfit. Because, of course, they had 2 bikes go down in the space of 1 lap. It was a very big shame there for the junior VR46 rider. We put the commentator's curse on it, and unfortunately it turned out to be. And look at that, I love that. The Makar Yuchenko and Vicente Perez congratulating each other. Brilliant. Meanwhile, let's go down to Parc Fermé and talk to the race winner, Ayagura. He is with Fran Wild.
So an incredible win in an incredibly dramatic race there. How does that feel?
Yes, race was really tough race because I had a not so good feeling on my bike, but last lap I waiting and I win. It's very good.
And in Japanese?
今週はすごい苦しい週末で、セッティングとか苦しんで、レース1もちょっとミスがあって、でもレース2に、まあフィーリングが良くなかったにしても、まあ最後まで見れてこうやって優勝できたので嬉しいです。
Great to hear there from Ayagura, the race winner. Here's some highlights then of what was a dramatic event at Moto3 for race number 2. Well, unfortunately, he didn't get off to a start at all for Aleix View. They got away, though, however, and it was Alonso Lopez who led the way from Ayagura and Jaume Masia. Come down towards the first corner. Who would lead the way? Well, Dennis Foggia got a great start. He got himself up into 3rd position as Aleix View tried to get himself in and amongst the mix of the race. Meanwhile, Jaume Masia hit the front ahead of Dennis Foggia, then 3rd place, as there was an incident further back with Lorenzo Petrarca getting involved, and also Kasper Kasmar-Udin with Matthias Megle having one of the biggest saves and one of the best saves we've seen all season. Very lucky to not come off worse for wear there. Meanwhile, out in front in the lead of the race, it was number 5 of Jaume Masia. And at the final corner, it all went wrong for Aaron Polanco and Sergio Garcia. Jeremy Alcoba, I apologise. Those riders going down the road. Meanwhile, Alonso Lopez hit the front and the lead of the race was closely followed as Aaron Polanco walked back disconsolately to his pit box. Likewise, Jeremy Alcoba. They were not in the mood to be chatting after that one. We didn't see what happened, unfortunately, on camera, but nonetheless, looks like it was a fairly nasty incident. Meanwhile, Dennis Foggia hits the front in the lead of the race. Behind him Foggia. Meanwhile, Clement Rouget has to pop back into pit lane. There was a big incident there as well. We didn't see that one on camera at the time, and that was a big high side for Bruno Palesi Iarachi. He got caught up in an incident with one of the 658 Squadra Corsa bikes and had his own high side on the way out of the corner. Hard on the brakes, we went into dry sack as the lead changed hands once more. Very close indeed it was. This was the final lap as Kazuki Misaki high-sided out of turn number 6 and took Celestino Vietti Ramos with him. Meanwhile, the leader of the race, Jaume Masia, up the inside into the final corner went Alonso Lopez. He went into the side of Foggia, and Foggia went into the side of Masia. It was a nasty incident. They all failed to finish, and at the final corner, Ayagura, who kept his nose out of trouble, took his first ever race win in the Moto3 Junior World Championship. A great result for the Asia Talent team. They will be absolutely delighted with that one. Vicente Perez and Makar Yuchenko taking their second podiums, respectively, of the season. And of course, it was Apuat Montananon who came over the line in second place, but unfortunately, due to the penalty he received for exceeding track limits, he only finishes in 6th position after the end of that race. Meanwhile, the likes of Davide Pizzoli in 4th place and Rory Skinner in 4th and 5th benefit from that incident massively. Meanwhile, the trophies are now presented to the constructor. First of all, the Asia Talent team, the first bit of silverware they can take home to their base. What a result. I don't think there'll be a sad face in the paddock to see the Asia Talent team doing so well. It's a great way to get riders from the Asian continent over into Europe, get them racing on the tracks, get them into the MotoGP grid as well. Third place man of Makar Yuchenko takes his second podium of the season, and likewise does this man, Vicente Perez. A great result for the Spaniard. Brilliant stuff. I don't think there'll be a bigger smile than the man who won the race, Ai Ogura. Fantastic for the Japanese rider. The first Japanese rider we've had taking a victory in the CEV in 2017. Brilliant stuff, and he's presented with a Repsol Honda, a Repsol fuel card, I should say, rather. Very nice stuff. And now we get to hear the Japanese national anthem winding its way out of the Circuito de Jerez.
Fuerte el aplauso para ellos. Podium de vencedores.
The race winner of the second
en esta categoría del Campeonato del Mundo Junior.
What a way to do it.
De Moto3, vaya carrera con sorpresa al final y con los tres favoritos.
Meanwhile, champagne sprayed on the podium by one rider, and Ai Ogura's trying to work out how the Casera bottle works. There we go.
No, I think he's too young.
He's got it in the... Oh, he is too young. I know.
He's too young for the...
For the champagne, but he's going to work out to get the cork out the...
For the cover, yeah. But no, that Real Aventia, they're so happy down in Parc Ferme. So it's great for them. Double podium finish, and obviously amazing to see Ogura on the top step for the Asia Talent team.
Brilliant.
Well deserved, obviously super dramatic, but well deserved win. Was up there the whole time, especially after the disappointment of this morning.
It was a stunner. Ai Ogura then... Well, there's the final results. He took the win by 0.8 of a second from Vicente Perez and Makar Yuchenko. Brilliant result for Davide Pizzoli with the Leopard team, sparing some of their blushes for this weekend in 4th and 5th. Apuat Montananon with that 5-second penalty. He was 6th. Sobket Chantra in 7th. Gerard Ryu was 8th place. Stefano Nepa in 9th position as well. So good result for the Italian inside the top 10. Angel Lorente, the only Cuna de Campiones machine that finished well inside the top 10. Alessandro Del Bianco, Jason De Pasquier riding solo this weekend with Philippe Salak and Yari Montella, with Andy Farid completing the podium, points rather I should say. Mattia Casadei in 16th place as well. What a great race that was, what a dramatic race it was too. And there's one more to come as well in the form of the European Talent Cup, which we're very much looking forward to. 15 laps awaits the riders, but not before we give you the championship standings here in the Moto3 Junior World Championship. Well, Dennis Foggia leads now by 60 points to Jeremy Alcoba. Fortunately, with the top 5 riders not scoring in that race, it leaves it as unaffected. Jeremy Alcoba in 2nd place on 96 points with Vicente Perez, tied for points between 2nd and 3rd. Alonso Lopez in 4th, and Kazuki Misaki inside the top 5 for Sergio Garcia. We wish him well after that nasty crash that he had in race number 1. Yuki Kuni just inside the top 10. Aaron Palanco, he was seething, we saw in the highlights as he went back to pit lane. Rory Skinner moves up into 12th place with Apuat Montananon and Aleix View behind, who moves down to 14th, unfortunately with that disappointing non-start. And then Lorenzo Petrarca in 15th, Gary Montella in 16th position. So one more race coming up here at the Circuito de Jerez. You can see the fans watching on in delight. They're staying out until the end of the day, and so are we. It's European Talent Cup on the way here next.